Good morning, welcome of Nassau Sunrise, and welcome to our last Rotary meeting for the calendar year 2021. And thank you all for coming this morning. And as we hope many of you had a wonderful Christmas, where you would have shared your Christmas with your loved ones and family members. And now we're back for the closeout of the calendar year 2021 in our usual manner. I would like to commence as we commence this morning's meeting. I'd like to ask Father Palacios to come and give us our invocation for this morning.
Good morning. Let us pray, please. Gracious Holy God, be with us during this our time of fellowship as we ask your special blessing upon our Rotary Club, indeed upon Rotary International, all those who participate, all those who are the beneficiary of the good work that we do. We ask that as we wind down this whole year, we may reflect on it and thank you for the opportunities we've had to serve. Pray, God, that you would direct us in the coming year. Bless us now during the proceedings of this meeting. And all things may we glorify your name and edify your people through whatever we do here this morning. These and all other blessings we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father Palacios. I'd like to invite Rotarian Nicolette to give us our loyal toast for this morning.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Please raise our cups and mugs to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Nicolette. As we commence this morning, we also want to have a warm welcome to all our guests and our visiting Rotarians. And at this time, I'd like to invite our Secretary, Akima, to welcome those Rotarians and guests.
Good morning, Nassau Sunrise. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. I would like to say a special good morning to PP Elisa, who is visiting with us this morning. Good morning, PP Elisa. I would also like to ask all members that may have visitors visiting with us this morning, guests, so please introduce your guests.
It seems that we're all family here this morning.
No, we do have one visitor.
Okay.
I don't want to cause anyone to get fined before I welcome them.
Morning. I think she is the guest of Rotarian Yvonne, and I don't see her on.
Okay, Dion.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that will be it, President Therese. Thank you.
Thank you, Akima. We will now invite our Director Tanisha to give us our announcement for the raffle this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and looking forward to great New Year celebrations. This morning's raffle prize is a good one, as always. Let me share. We will be raffling off this morning a $100 Amazon gift card. So you know you have like a lot of options with Amazon. So the tickets this morning are going to be 1 for $5 or 3 for $10. You can purchase them in the chat. Guests can participate. I see President Therese has posted the account information in the chat. So the guests can take note of that, or you can have your Rotarian friend give you the instructions on how you can make your payment for your raffle ticket. So tickets, again, 1 for $5, 3 for $10. Please support the raffle. Let's close out 2021 strong. Thank you very much, President Therese. Back to you.
Thank you, Tanisha. Well said. Let's close out very strong in both our raffles this morning. Now I'd like to invite Director Patrick to give us our jokes and finds for this morning.
Good morning, all. Okay, we need to start off with finding the one for a guest being there and her not being there. So $5 for one for not being there to introduce your guests.
Yeah, correct.
Also, this is season for giving. So all Rotary members, all members of Nassau Sunrise, we finding them $2. Also, if you did not participate in any of the giving for like your bell ringing or given to any charitable organization or any needy, if you did not participate in any of that, it's a $2 fine for each one of you. You know who you are. And last but not least, if you do not get the joke, it's a $1 fine. Okay. This husband and his wife. The wife said, I'm going to a tea party. It was a Sunday. So she going to a tea party. And the husband has to babysit the baby, the 3-year-old, till the wife comes back. He said, oh, that's no problem. I got that. I can take care of that. That's not a problem. So the wife leaves. And so the 3-year-old says, let's have a tea party, Daddy. Now, well, Sunday is ball game time. So father just want to watch the game. So he agrees to the tea party because he could sit right there, doesn't have to move. So he sits down and she sets up the little tea stuff and, they're having a tea party. And for the cookies, it's an imaginary cookie. But for the tea, it's just pure water. And, she all day, they just played this tea party until she got tired and fell asleep. So the wife comes home and she's like, how did it go? He said, oh, it went fine. He said, it did? He said, yes, no problem whatsoever. So we had a tea party. He said, you did? He said, yeah, so what y'all had? He said, well, we had imaginary cookies, but for the tea, we had water. Wife burst out laughing. Husband said, why are you laughing? She said, because if you realize, but there is only one place low enough for a 3-year-old to get water. Okay, so that ain't nobody laugh. That mean ain't nobody get a joke. Everybody get $1.
I got it.
Okay, Patrick, I got it. Yes,
I got it.
I heard it
I
before, Patrick. You try that.
I got it.
I got it.
I got it, Patrick. Thank you very much, Patrick, for your jokes and fines this morning. I'd like to invite Gwen to do up celebrate any birthdays, anniversaries we have for this week.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic holiday season. So while I was asleep at the wheelhouse, we had not one but 2 anniversaries. Tanisha, if you would be so kind. Is she on?
Hold 1 second, my computer is just acting up.
Okay.
Got it.
These 2 celebrated an anniversary, our very own AG Carla and PDG Felix. Happy anniversary. I am so sorry I missed it. So the little bit of lace up at the top there symbolizes your years of marriage. So may God continue to bless and strengthen your marriage. And hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful day. Okay, and we don't have any birthday this week, so we'll be back next week. President Therese and Cresswell, I hope you both enjoyed your birthdays to the fullest. May God continue to bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. A special shout out to our very own PDG Felix and AG Carla. May you enjoy your anniversary. As we move on to any announcements for this morning, I'd like to open up the floor for any announcements for the club this morning. I would just like to thank all of the, Director Kemi for coming for organizing our toy drive. We had this on Christmas Day, as we gave out, I would say almost 100 more toys to persons in the community in the Wolf Road and I think it's Market Street area. And those well received. We partnered with a local businessman in the area to give food and toys on Christmas Day for those persons in the community. It was well received and well, and I know next year we're going to make it much bigger and better as we move forward with our giving to the community. If there aren't any other announcements, I would like to move on to our Rotary Minute with our Director Simone.
Morning, President Jerez.
Right.
Before you move, we just want to say that the Blue Team also did a tremendous job under the bridge on Christmas Day, handing out parcels of well-received food items to the homeless.
Awesome. The pictures were awesome. I think they were posted on our Facebook page as well.
Yes,
it was a great time. Are there any other clubs? I know the Green Team will be doing a presentation on New Year's Day for the family, for one of our families. If there are any other color groups, please post your pictures and your events so we can I'll probably promote through these charitable acts for our club.
So just on the same thing, President Durrett, I just wanted to chime in and say thank you for everyone who has supported everything we've been doing so far for the year in terms from the services side. Mild correction in terms of on Saturday. I know we definitely, in terms of gifts, there were at least more than 300 gifts in total. But I know I did post something in the chat for the other color groups. I know the yellow group has done something already, and I saw the photos for the blue. Even though typically that doesn't fall under services to coordinate, but for the other groups, I reached out and asked what you have planned. So please don't forget to let us know so we can actually put together a proper release, post it on our social media so the world and everyone else in the Bahamas who may be interested in joining Rotary know about the good things we're doing. So I would appreciate if persons can respond so we can make sure and coordinate that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Kemi. If there aren't any other comments or announcements, I'd like to move to our Rotary Minute by Simone.
Good morning. Our Rotary Minute today is International Conventions. Each May or June, Rotary International holds a worldwide convention to stimulate, inspire, and inform all Rotarians at an international level. The convention is the annual meeting to conduct the business of the association. The planning process usually begins about 4 or 5 years in advance. The conventions are truly international events, which thousands of Rotarians and guests attend. All members should plan to participate in a Rotary International Convention to discover the real internationality of Rotary. It is an experience you will never forget. Future conventions will be held as follows. In 2022, Houston, Texas. 2023, Melbourne, Australia. 2024, Singapore. 2025, Calgary, Canada. Thank you, President Perez.
Thank you, Simone. Do me a favor, I sent you a message. Could you respond when you get a chance, please, Simone? I would like to move on to our Rotary Spotlight for this morning and invite one of our newest Rotarians, Rotarian Archeline, to give our membership spotlight for this morning.
Good morning and happy holidays. Thank you, President Perez. Our spotlight this morning is Mr. Barrett Miller. Barrett Miller is a former IT and logistic professional. and is currently the distributor and owner-operator of Cooler Ice vending machines in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. A 1990 graduate of St. Augustine's College, Barrett then pursued a BA and MA degree in economics from Hampton University, 1994, and Old Dominion University, 1997. Later completing a graduate level certificate in maritime, port, and logistic management from Old Dominion University, 2010. Barrett started his IT career in 1998 and consulted as a Cognos developer for several years. In 2004, he obtained his realtor's license in Virginia, formed a property management business, and started investing in real estate. While growing his real estate portfolio, he joined Target stores and worked in various capacities in distribution. During his tenure at Target, he was nominated to attend the Executive Leadership Council, Bright Futures, Principles of Leadership for New High Potential Talent, in recognition of his ongoing commitment to excellence, leadership, and professional development, 2014. He was also the recipient of Target's Results Leadership Award, 2010, and Annual Operations Manager Leadership Award, 2009. In 2008, he purchased a tropical smoothie cafe and became the first and only franchisee contracted to sell smoothies to all the middle and high schools in the cities of Chesapeake and Suffolk, Virginia. Barrett returned to the Bahamas September 2015 and formed Cooler Ice Bahamas Limited in October. He and his wife, Michelle Miller, are also the owners of Divine Design Hair Boutique. They have 3 children, Shanae, Barrett II, and Bria. Thank you, President Therese. Barrett Miller, our spotlight for this morning.
Thank you, Archeline. Barrett is accomplished in the IT realm and is an entrepreneur. I know he's done very well with his local business. We also want to thank him. We have many entrepreneurs amongst our midst. One of them I also want to recognize, which is PP Sophia, who also has a art display going on right now in the Fusion Complex. I think it's in the VIP section, I do believe. Those who want to go, the Rotarians who can go out and support. Let us support our Rotarians as we enter into vocational month. As we go, we can celebrate our Rotarians as they are doing many awesome things in their community and in their profession moving forward. I would now like to invite Rotarian Tamara to give us our introduction of our guest speaker this morning.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Dr. Tina Bethel Mims. Dr. Tina Bethel Mims was born in Nassau, the Bahamas, and is a graduate of the University of Santiago, Cuba. She obtained a DM in family medicine from the University of the West Indies, Mona. Dr. Bethel Mims has 14 years in general and family practice, 10 of which have been with the Bahamas Ministry of Health, where she has served in polyclinics as a medical provider and as a district medical officer in North Andros. She was also one of the first physicians who volunteered to care for those infected with SARS-CoV-2 during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in the Bahamas. In addition to her medical practice, she serves on the executive board of the Bahamas Doctors Union, where she has the privilege to create and negotiate policy for physicians in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. She also creatively manages a blog on her website, drtinamims.com. She is passionate about healthcare, equipping her patients to improve their health and obtain a better quality of life. Dr. Bethel Mims is an international member of the American Academy of Family Medicine and is certified with the Caribbean Association of Medical Councils. She has conducted research on weight, bias, and obesity and is presently conducting women's health research. Dr. Bethel Mims resides in Nassau, Bahamas with her husband, Julian, and their 2 dogs. She enjoys cooking, reading, music, and traveling. Sunrisers, let us put up our hand clap emojis and welcome our presenter for this morning, Dr. Tina Bethel Mims.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you all for that wonderful introduction. It is my privilege to be with you guys this morning to address the Rotary Sunrise Club on health and wellness. Okay, this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, as one of my main concerns and specialties is addressing health and wellness. And when we're talking about health and wellness, I'll go into it a bit more about what I mean about that. But it's not just the physical aspect of the human being that we want to address. We want to address the mental, we want to address the spiritual, the psychological, and as well as the physical, okay? So, pardon me if you do hear some barking somewhere down the line. Please forgive me, I do have dogs. Okay, so I'm going to begin by addressing the definition of health, which is simply being of sound mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so it's not merely the absence of illness. However, we are talking more about a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Okay, but let's talk about wellness. Wellness itself is really purposeful, enjoyable living. Okay, so it's a deliberate lifestyle choice characterized by personal responsibility and optimal enhancement of physical, mental, and spiritual health. Okay, so one of the things I want to address about the Bahamas itself, we are a robust culture. We enjoy food. We enjoy social gatherings. We enjoy, I'd say, more of the best things, the better things of life. However, one of the things that I tell my patients a lot of the time, the way that we eat is not really not really appropriate for the lifestyle that we live today. Our cuisine was developed in a time when our people did not have cars. We did not have a bus transit system. The majority of our forefathers walked everywhere. And so if they had to walk 5 miles a day to get to work and back, then they would need a heavy carbohydrate meal because they needed that energy to get through the day. However, now that is our meal today, and the majority of us get to work by our cars or the bus system. And so then we see the disparity between what we eat, how we eat, and basically what we do on a day-to-day basis, right? So the first thing I want to address is diet, okay? So we did a STEP survey. STEP survey is done about every 10 years in the Bahamas by the Ministry of Health. And it basically assesses the Bahamian population from all over the archipelago, how we eat, how we live, what our habits, dietary, and our toxic habits, and by that I mean drinking and smoking. It also assesses our activity and the prevalence of our medical illnesses, what's more common in our population. And the last survey was conducted in 2019 was the last one. And so what we found out in the last STEP survey is that the majority of our population, I would say 50% of our population, is either overweight or obese. Now, what does this say to us? This says that what we're eating and what we're doing don't really balance out. And so what we found is that the majority of our population have a more sedentary lifestyle. So what's that? Basically, we don't do as much movement as we should. So exercise, even though we want to exercise, and I've seen a turnaround in recent times, so where the Bahamian population has more engaged in physical activity, and we've had more support from that from the government standpoint with policy and activities programs as such. But the majority of us spend the majority of our time behind a desk, or maybe perhaps we walk upstairs, downstairs and work, but for the most part, we are very stationary. And that is actually detrimental for our health for many reasons. Because if we're not active, we're not using the food that we use, we're not using the carbohydrates that we've consumed. And our carbohydrates, complex carbs, we love peas and rice. Hey, I love peas and rice. Who doesn't love macaroni and cheese, right? However, our portions, if you really look at our plates, and you would see even on social media, if you are part of any of those food groups, if you really look at the portion of the traditional Bahamian plate, you're seeing more than 50% carbohydrates. You're seeing almost half the plate is peas and rice, or whatever variation of rice we have. Then we have some macaroni and cheese, and we have potato salad. We may have a little bit of coleslaw there, but then it's drenched in mayonnaise and it's drenched in sugar. And then we have a meat, or, 2 types of meat, because this is the Bahamas. And if it's a Sunday, or if it's a fancy meal, we're having two proteins. And if we have salad, which is rarely on the plate, it's really forced in a corner. So we see that the majority of what we eat is carb-based. And carbs, I am not anti-carb, but I am anti-majority carbohydrates, because the reality is most of our plate should be 50% green leafy vegetables. Okay, broccoli, cauliflower, lettuce, and tomatoes, asparagus, spinach, cabbage, things of that nature. But traditionally, that's not how we have been taught to eat. So what I want to address is that I want to teach, and I do have a passion for teaching how to eat, because how we eat affects our overall health and our well-being. Okay, the majority of people, and I don't know if you can show by a show of hands, after you had a heavy carbohydrate meal, how many of us, or how many of you feel tired and probably want to take a nap? I'm one. And that's because your body expends so much energy breaking down all this heavy food. So maybe about 30 minutes after you eat, sometimes you may feel really tired. And that's because obviously the body is taking its time, or it's funneling a lot of its energy and a lot of its blood supply to the gut to actually digest all that heavy food. Okay, so what should we do? 50% of our plate should be green leafy vegetables. If we really want to say we want a healthy lifestyle, we want to embrace wellness, we need to change our percentages. Not so much all what we eat, because we still can have these good things. We still can have our peas and rice. We can still have macaroni and cheese and potato salad if we want to. However, the portions need to be different. 50% of our plates needs to be green leafy vegetables, and only a quarter of our plates can be the starches. And so maybe one starch, a meal would suffice instead of having the 3. Or perhaps maybe just try to fit everything in that quarter of your plate, okay? And not to pile up the plate, okay? And so with that, I'll move on from talking about what we eat, okay? However, I do want to mention that we should have more than 3 or more servings of vegetables a day. And that by vegetables, I do mean green leafy vegetables. Anything that's brightly colored. So that's tomatoes, eggplants as well as the others. So we're not talking so much of cassava and pumpkin and potatoes and sweet potatoes. We love those too, but they're still considered carbohydrates, okay? Just so we make the distinction. And when it comes to activity, we want to have 30 minutes of activity a day, minimum of activity a day. Now I have a lot of patients, a lot of people ask me, they say, hey doc, I walk up and down stairs at work sometimes, getting from one place to another. And I said, that's good. That's good. It's always good to have some activity. Activity Any activity is better than no activity. But if you're a person who's trying to lose weight and really embrace the wellness lifestyle, we're talking more about going beyond your baseline. Okay, so your baseline is what you do every day. Okay, I walk up and down my clinic every day when I see my patients. So that's my baseline. And so I'm not going to lose weight by staying at my baseline. I have to do something more. So if you're active at work, I'm going to encourage you not to count that. If you really want to consider, hey, to lose weight or get more healthy or embrace a more fit lifestyle, you really have to consider doing more. Okay, so outside of work, maybe about 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise, and that includes walking. And that may include swimming for you if you have issues with your back or with your knees. It may include cycling for the same reason if you have joint, or jogging, or even going to the gym. Okay, once you're moving, once your heart rate is taken up. Okay, so I want to talk about some other aspects of wellness. Okay, and that includes your emotional wellness and your spiritual and psychological wellness. Okay, so our emotional wellness refers to both our emotional and mental states, and that is basically to our feelings and our thoughts. And so we're in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think that we are more embracing or more addressing, are more aware of the social issues that we're facing as a result of the fallout, job loss, social issues at home. And I personally have been seeing a lot more patients who have been talking about their emotions, who have been saying, doc, I feel depressed. I really feel low. I really feel down. And even though we live in a beautiful country with all this sunshine, it is possible for people to suffer from depression. And it is, and it is a grave problem because it diminishes your quality of life. And we shouldn't, and I'm really grateful at this point, not for the pandemic, but for the fact that it's opened many people's eyes to the fact that depression is real. Mental illness is illness, and it should be respected as illness. Okay. And so there are many ways we can address that. And we can start working toward improving our quality of life and basically addressing what we're dealing with. Okay. So depression isn't something that should be frowned upon or looked down upon. And some people I may be speaking to right now may have felt low or depressed during this season, and that's okay. That's okay because we've all gone through dramatic changes, and not just financially, but socially, our families, many of us have lost loved ones. And we should feel free to express ourselves in that space. What I would say is that if any of you or anybody under the sound of my voice is experiencing some of these feelings, and it doesn't always just comes with just low mood, it often does, but it comes sometimes with inability to sleep, changes in appetite, either eating more or eating less, even feelings of guilt. Okay, guilt and loss. Or some people may have considered hurting themselves, or they have been having issues at work, not being able to concentrate. There are many ways that depression can manifest itself. And so first and foremost, I would, if anyone is experiencing this, I would advise you to talk to your primary care physician. However, I do want to advise you on a few things that you can do to improve that, to more or less like lift your mood. Exercise is one of the main ones that actually lift and improve our mood. Even when I have patients who are diagnosed with depression. And you're not necessarily diagnosed with depression if you feel low. There are different criteria that we use to diagnose it. But if you are feeling low, if you are feeling down for various circumstances, one of the main things that we do want you to do, is to talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, a counselor, your physician, your pastor, a good friend, someone that you trust, to get your feelings out. Okay. And this includes the men too, because we're in a society that usually feels that men should not speak about their emotions, or the men themselves feel that, okay, men don't cry, men don't talk about their emotions, and that's really not the best way to look at it. It's actually quite unhealthy, because men have feelings just like we do, and the way they express them may be different, but they go through many of the emotions, and all the emotions that women have. We are human. We are all human. And so talking to somebody feel comfortable with, somebody you trust, is paramount. Expressing your emotions. Beyond that, exercise is important. As I said, if you get out, explore nature, see some of God's creation, get out there and not stay in the same space. Just a change of scenery can actually work wonders. Journaling, writing your thoughts and your feelings down, getting them out is important as well. Okay, so moving beyond that, our spiritual well-being is also of considerable importance. Now, with the majority of the Bahamas, this statistically is Christian. However, I do not want to pigeonhole or offend anyone else who has some other religious view. But embracing your spirituality is very important, inclusive of some, and I just spoke about depression. That's also very important. If you are feeling low, embracing your spirituality, whatever that may be. And so for us, for many of us, it's church. Someone else, it may be a mosque. Someone else, it may be something else. But coming in contact or embracing your spirituality is very important. Okay, taking time to meditate. Meditation looks different for different people. My meditation is reading the Bible and praying. Someone else's meditation may be something more engaging with something else. So just meditation, taking that time out away from the hustle and bustle of everything. We live in a society where everything is pulling for our attention every day. Work. Whenever we're home, we're thinking about work, or whenever we're at work, we're thinking about home, or we're thinking about the kids. Or it's such a fast-paced lifestyle in that many of us live nowadays. And so really taking time to be present, taking time for yourself, maybe about 20, 30 minutes a day, minimum. Take time for yourself, deep breathing exercises, reading, just take time to experience what you're feeling and to do something you enjoy. And that's so very important. Okay. And so the spiritual, we've talked about that. Now let's talk about occupational health. And a lot of people don't really address that. It's really the place or the state of health of your environment where you work. The majority of us, we spend most of our time at the job, at work. We spend 8 hours. And if we spend 8 hours at work, we spend 8 hours asleep. Hopefully we get our 8 hours. And then we spend maybe an hour go to and from work. We end up spending majority of our time, our waking hours on the job. And so if that environment is not what it should be, and by not what it should be, I mean, if it's a toxic work environment, then you can really see the effects of that spilling into different aspects of your life, including your marriages and your family life and etc. Yeah, how many times have we seen we come home with some issue or some burden, and then it's affecting the way you react, or maybe you're snapping at someone else because of what someone else did at work. It happens. And how can we address that? It's not something that we do, that we make popular in the Bahamas, where we really talk about, hey, addressing the way the environment, especially, I'd say, especially in the government sector, ensuring that it's healthy for the workers who are there. Not just the health of the building, but the health of the social interactions between co-workers. And that's when team building exercises are very important. In occasional retreats where we have talks, we have counseling, we have, like I said, team building exercises, trust building exercises. It's so important when we're talking about building a team and maintaining good, healthy work interactions. So that's something to also consider. Okay, so what I also wanted to mention, in the Bahamas, we have a life expectancy that is increasing with age, which is with time, which is good, because that means that we're living, and in the world, we're living longer because of advances in medical health, right? So in the Bahamas, the leading cause of mortality, and that's the leading cause of death, is heart disease, and that's for both men and women. Okay, so this is where I focus. I started and I focus so much on diet and exercise because that is so important to us if we want to live longer, if we want to live, have a better quality of life, if we want to not be on medications or be on less medications or reduce the medications that we are on for chronic diseases such as hypertension and diabetes. There's a large population of hypertensive and diabetic patients in the Bahamas. They seem to be our top two chronic diseases, along with obesity. And when we really see what's going on with the COVID-19 pandemic, we've seen overall that these patients are more at risk for worsening disease. We're all at risk for coming in contact with someone with COVID. It's here, and the various variants are here as well. However, the difference between hospitalization and just staying home and convalescing will definitely depend on how well you've taken care of yourself and continue to take care of yourself. Okay, and everybody's immune system is different. Okay, so my immune system, I had COVID actually when it first came out, because I was one of the first responders. And I didn't get it immediately, of course, but over a long period of time after the second wave hit, I was one of those who contracted it because it was just everywhere. And I am on the front line. So when I had COVID, I experienced much of the same symptoms: headaches, body pains, body weakness, shortness of breath, but I was able to stay at home and convalesce. It did not progress to hospitalization because I took the time to take care of myself. I knew what was coming. Before that, I was taking care of myself, but I also my husband and I stuck with a really good regime of multivitamins. You want to have a good cadre of multivitamins on board. Okay, the main ones you've probably all heard were multivitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc as well. Okay, and vaccination is recommended. CDC recommends vaccination. Now, I know we're all hearing about the different variants that are coming out, the latest one being Omicron, whether or not it is here. And based on statistics, we do not have the confirmation this yet from the results that have been sent to Panama. However, we do see that the numbers, there's an uptick in numbers, but hospitalizations have not increased, which is a good thing. But it is also a hallmark of Omicron that Omicron does not produce severe or as severe disease as Delta or the Delta variant does. So hospitalizations would be less likely. And so it's very possible that it is here. So what I do recommend is the safety protocols that we've all been informed about and we've been reiterating, which is hand washing. I can't say that enough. Hand washing, 30 seconds at minimum. All right. And then after that, hand sanitizer, of course, when you do not have soap and water and when your hands are not visibly soiled. And after that, definitely physical distancing, which Sunrise seems to be doing a great job. Looking at the Zoom presentation, we're doing Zoom meetings, which is great. Okay, so physical distancing, keeping indoors, when you're indoors, keeping your mask on, definitely. We do have mask mandates in the Bahamas for wearing masks outdoors, which is fine as well. Although in some areas in the United States, they don't have mask mandates. However, in Florida, since we've had the uptick, so we're wearing the masks, okay? So quarantine is only for individuals who have been exposed, okay? Isolation is for those who have been tested positive. When we're considering quarantining, the CDC has made adjustments. So quarantining for someone who has been in contact with someone who has been tested positive for COVID-19 is now 5 days, 5 days solid indoors, away from everyone else. and possibly 5 more days if they are able to wear a tight-fitted mask fitted to their face. They may be allowed amongst everyone else. And these are people who are quarantined, they've not tested positive, they've just been exposed. Okay, so when it comes to individuals who are testing positive, we're still under 10 days. Okay, and now the majority of Bahamians now are seeing the importance of vaccination. I would say that with over 150,000 Bahamians vaccinated, that's actually a good amount, although we need closer to 70% of the population vaccinated in order to achieve some herd immunity. So what we have seen was with the resurgence of all of these different different variants, pardon me, is that we've started to need boosters of the vaccines, okay? So with the new variants, they're saying that the old vaccination levels would only provide about 35% protection. So the booster would actually increase it to 75%, okay? And so we want to continue to support vaccination. It really does help. It really does prevent severe disease. If you are not opposed to it for whatever reason or spiritual reason, then I do advise that you do. Okay, so we've spoken about causes of mortality in the Bahamas, which is an increased morbidity, that's lower quality of life and illness, which include hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. Those are the ones that we can change by responsible eating habits and by exercise and by reducing fatty foods for fatty food consumption, okay? Also, I do want to mention that alcohol consumption actually is something that we don't address much, but it really should be addressed because we are a bit, I guess, relaxed as a society about the consumption of alcohol. However, there are limits to the amounts that we should consume on a weekly basis and even on a daily basis. An individual shouldn't drink more than 14 units of alcohol per week on no more than 3 units of alcohol per day. And what does that look like? A unit of alcohol would be a shot glass. If you've ever been to a bar, you would see that many of the bartenders serve in a shot glass, and that is considered a unit of alcohol or spirits. And when you consider wine, about 4 ounces of wine is 1 unit of alcohol. And when you consider beer, a bottle of beer is considered 1.5 units. So you should not pass 2 bottles of beer a day. You should not pass more than 3 4-ounce glasses of wine. And you should not pass more than 3 shots of alcohol. And that includes any spirit, be it bourbon, be it vodka, gin, anything of that sort. And so a lot of Bahamians aren't aware of that. And so we tend to socially drink. And when we socially drink, we overdo that. And when we overdo it, then we put taxes on more. We tax our liver, which is responsible for detoxifying the body of alcohol and a lot of other toxins. And so we want to avoid that. Also, alcohol has other side effects, including increasing blood pressure. And it has effects on diabetes as well because it is full of carbohydrates. So that is something I just wanted to put out there so that we know the limitations of alcohol consumption that we should have in a sitting. And of course, we shouldn't pass 14 units per week. Okay, smoking is also something that we can address. It is highly recommended that everybody stop smoking. Smoking, as in smoking cigarettes, is very, very bad for your health, which leads to heart disease, all sorts of cardiovascular disease, increases your risk for cancers as well. And not just lung cancer, but prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer. Smoking is linked to cancer, period. Okay, so if you are a smoker, it's never too late to stop smoking, because if you stop smoking within the, I'd say within 10 years, you actually decrease your risk for lung cancer by about, I think is about 30%. So just keep that in mind, that if you are a smoker, a cigarette smoker, to reduce, cut down, talk to your doctor about cutting down on smoking. There are different methods that we can use to help you. And it's multidimensional as well. There's so many new ways that we can help individuals stop smoking, but cutting down helps, and definitely we want to stop if we are at all able to. Okay. All right. So at this point, I would like to just open the floor for any question that you may have and anything I may address for you. Thank you so much for your time and attention, Rotary Sunrise.
When you said smoking, Ms. Mims, you mean cigarettes too? I mean, cigars as well too?
Well, cigars are a bit different because cigars are just tobacco. Generally, they don't have the tar and everything else that's included. And generally, cigar smokers don't inhale. Okay, so the process is a bit different. However, it is important that you recognize that even with smoking cigars, there are risks with that as well. So with any kind of smoking that goes on in the oropharynx, we have a risk of long-term risk of oropharyngeal cancers, and that's in the tongue or in the throat. They are definitely higher in cigarette smoking because there are so many other toxins and chemicals within cigarettes themselves. But the risk of lung cancer is not necessarily something that we do see as much with cigar smoking itself. And there are very little studies that actually tie, or I haven't found any at all, it's tie cigars themselves to lung cancer. So it's more of an oropharyngeal issue, but I haven't seen any in the Bahamas that are tied to cigar smoke, only to cigarette smoke.
But you can obtain, like, I guess cancer in the mouth with cigar smokers as well. Is that possible?
It is possible.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for Dr. Mims?
Morning, Doc. How are you? Merry Christmas. All the best for the new year. I know you know the voice. You just put everybody, I'm sure, in a shocking dilemma with New Year's just tomorrow Eve and New Year's Saturday itself. And you know, us typical Bahamians in having the champagne, the wine. What would you recommend? Because you know, most people would say, hey, I'll take a bottle for myself. What we heard what you said that we should take, but the long-term effect is serious.
Yes. See, I don't know about how all of you feel, but I know that my body can't handle the amount of alcohol I could have taken in my 20s. So when we really see the after effect, you can feel a difference when you consume more alcohol than you're supposed to. And your body will give you some telltale signs if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling fatigued, if in the following morning you have headache. All of these are because the alcohol dehydrates you. And the new year is coming up, and I tell everyone, hey, you can have a glass, you could have a glass or two, that's fine, celebrate, However, everything should be done in moderation. So I wouldn't say, for example, I like ice cream, but I'm not going to sit down and eat a half gallon or a gallon of ice cream in one sitting. That's unnecessary. And I know in the end it's bad for my body. So you have to, and everyone has to just take that into consideration. Like, what's good for me and what's good for me long term? Do I have any other issues that this can complicate? Is this going to make me feel bad in the morning? Am I going to be able to function? Things of that nature. We're all responsible for our own health care, for our own health, because we live in our bodies, no one else. And so we know what works for us, what doesn't work for us. However, medically, it's not very wise. So I do advise that you stick to the recommendations. If you're having a glass of champagne, have the glass, So three glasses. That's about it. So make sure that you try your best to stay within that limit. I know it's a celebration time, but we want to do what's best for our bodies long term.
I just find it funny. So a Rotarian came in here that everyone's asking about the smoking the cigars, asking about the alcohol, but no one's talking about the first message we gave out in terms of the carbs, they're cutting out the peas and rice and the potato salad. And I say this throwing all kind of shade as I'm sitting down eating a head of broccoli for breakfast. So thanks.
Yeah, because we don't like that. We don't like to hear about, because I'm passionate about food. I love food. I might as well tell you. We don't want to hear that the food that we love on a daily basis is something that's bad for us. But like I said, it's not bad altogether. It's bad the way we eat it, in the portions that we eat it. You understand? So we make it bad in the way that we eat it. So if you want some macaroni and cheese, you can have that macaroni and cheese. Go ahead. But just make sure you have that good amount of salad on the side to balance that out, right? Because our sugars will spike. Our blood sugars will spike. Regardless, it will spike, and then our body releases this cascade of insulin, trying to just like muscle it down and keep it down. And insulin forces it into our fat cells, and we gain weight. That's just the way it works. And if you're diabetic, or if you're somebody who has diabetes in your family, you really want to run away from that, because if you just say, okay, I'm just going to eat however I want to eat, then you're going to increase your risk for cardiovascular disease. And the number one killer in the Bahamas for women specifically, is heart disease, heart attacks. We're dying from heart attacks, not breast cancer, heart attacks. And that's statistically relevant. That's what it is. So that means that when we're cooking all these good foods for our family and we're eating it, it's wonderful that our husbands like, they like peas and rice and macaroni and cheese. That's all right. That's good. But in the end of the day, and that's all we end up eating, we're going to end up harming ourselves in the long run and leaving your family without you. And that doesn't make any sense. Okay, when we could just say, balance it out, still have some of those foods that you love, but still incorporate the foods that's going to help you live longer.
Doc, I don't know if you would be able to answer me this, but I was about to throw it out, the new year when I go back to my place where you're familiar with. But over the Christmas holiday, we had certain people discussion, and they were telling that too much spinach is not good for the body. Is that a myth, or there's some research going on about that? Saying something about it thins the blood, or it does something in you that you can have it, but you need to have it not just in moderation, but not as much as the green stuff you're including in your diet on everything else. Have you heard that? And then also to, a glass of wine and a bottle of water, basically, even out. Have you heard any of this before?
I've heard a lot about this. Okay, let me just address the first part, which you said, but the spinach really quickly, and then we'll get to the wine. So when we talk about the spinach is high, it's a green leafy vegetable. It's high in vitamin K, which is great. It's not that it thinnens the blood so much. It's that's that some people, for example, who take anticoagulants, right? Like warfarin. You are not to take certain vegetables with certain anticoagulants, well, warfarin specifically, because you can have an unsafe, it actually works against it. Okay, so pretty much that's where everything came in. There's no real adverse effect against eating spinach unless the CDC has released something recently that there is some listeria infection or some kind of bacteria in it growing from a certain location. You can have spinach. You can have spinach as long as you're not on warfarin or Coumadin. It's the same thing, the same medication. Now, moving on to the alcohol aspect of that. I've heard that people said, oh, look at the people in Italy. They drink wine with every meal and everything else like that. We are not in that region. There is They're still trying to figure out why Italians live so long on pasta and meatballs and wine. In certain areas, like in Sicily, they're living over 100 years old on that. But then that's something I do think that it has something to do with what they eat and what's regional. And I think they eat more whole foods than we do. So the wine, one glass of wine with their meal, you could have that. You know, you could have a glass, 2 glasses per day, not to pass 3 glasses, you know. But there was a study going around in the 90s and in the early 2000s saying that having wine is good for your heart. You should have wine, and then that's good for you. However, that was disputed later on, because really what they're talking about is about a little, I guess, chemical that's actually in the seed. Well, not the seed, the skin of the grape. We can get that same thing from eating grape skins. So it's really not wine that does it. It's, you could have a handful of grapes and get the same effect, okay? Without having the after effects or the side effects of drinking alcohol. And alcohol consumption, excessive alcohol consumption is linked to cancer too. Just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, I've seen something in the chat, some chats popping up about the size of macaroni and cheese. Okay, the size of your slice of macaroni and cheese regarding the size of it. Okay, so when we're looking at the size of the macaroni and cheese, I wish I had a visual representation right now, but the typical size is usually about, I'd say 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. That's about this size. So we don't want, you know, to get like a fifth of the pan or quarter of a pan of macaroni. That's not it. When you have your regular size plate, dinner plate, all of your carbohydrates should fit in a quarter, okay? A quarter of that. So if we're talking a plate, and I really wish I brought a visual representation right now, but if we're talking about a plate that is a 9-inch plate, right? Half of that is salad, is green leafy vegetables. A quarter of that is meat and a quarter of that is starch. If you eat like that every single day, there is no way you're not eating well. You are eating perfectly fine. Just don't pile up the carbohydrates, okay? So thank you all so much for your time. I think we're going to wrap up pretty soon. If there's maybe one more question that you may have.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, so carbohydrates normally gives you energy. And sometimes when you feel a bit lackluster, you crave the carbohydrates. What are your suggestions?
Okay, my suggestions for when you actually have cravings for carbohydrates, that you consume fruit. And by fruit, I don't necessarily mean all the time bananas or, you know, mangoes. The native fruits are great, but they tend to be high in really high in carbohydrate and sugar. And another thing that I didn't mention, I want you all to know, is that sometimes when we're really feeling hungry, we're really thirsty, we're dehydrated. Okay, we don't drink enough water. And a lot of people don't do it. I sometimes at work, I don't do it. I literally carry my bottle with me and I try to drink this every day, literally every day, because we don't drink enough water. And we dehydrate our body, and then our body sends us signals what we think is hunger, but it's really thirst. Okay, coffee doesn't quench thirst. It does not. Neither does soda, neither does juice. Only water does it, because all of these other liquids that we consume actually deprive us of water. So I'd say drink water, and sometimes if you're trying to lose weight, drink water, a glass of water before you eat, so that you feel full faster rather than just consume carbohydrates. Now, if you're eating the appropriate amount of carbohydrates, as far as the portions are concerned with your meals, and especially if you're diabetic, you can have a snack in between your meals, because diabetics should have a snack in between meals. But it needs to be a healthy snack. So an apple, a pear, maybe half of a tuna sandwich with some lettuce on it, things like that. Okay, to make sure that you keep your blood sugar even, especially if you're doing a strenuous job. Again, remember that there has been a disparity between the way we traditionally eat and our physical activity. None of us really walk a really long period of time, like across the island. Behemoths like to get to work looking good and smelling good. We don't go to work sweaty. I tell all my patients. So we don't really expend the energy that's proportionate with what we eat. So that's what I'd say. Drink more water or eat some fruit.
What are the best fruits
Thank you
that
very
don't
much,
have?
Dr.
Sorry.
Sorry, yes.
I was just going to ask, what are the best fruits that doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates?
Yes, berries are the #1. So strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, followed by apples and pears. You can't go wrong with those. And some star fruit, perhaps, but try to stay away from oranges and grapefruit because they have a lot of sugar in them too, as well as bananas, pineapples, and mangoes, and all native fruit, to be honest.
Bananas?
But I have a lot of carbohydrates,
Thank you, Dr. Mims. I'd like to quickly invite Rotarian Tamara to give us a vote of thanks this morning.
Thank you, President Therese. I take this opportunity to thank our guest speaker, Dr. Tina Mims, for a very informative and challenging presentation this morning. Some of us are thinking through our New Year's resolutions, and I am sure we'll incorporate the information you shared this morning to improve our emotional, spiritual, mental, and physical well-being in the coming year. And also thank you too, Dr. Mims, for your service to the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure all of our Rotarians and guests here this morning wish you well and offer thanks for your presentation this morning. Very challenging. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mims, and we truly appreciate your contribution this morning. I'd like to invite Director Tanisha to come and give our raffle drawing this morning.
Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm gonna make this quick. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to shuffle. Before we spin, I'd just like to say thank you, everyone, for your continued support of the raffle in 2021. I look forward to you supporting next year as well. So here we go.
Ooh, Alicia.
That's the second time.
Congratulations, PP Alicia. I would now like to invite past President Leroy to give us our four-way test this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Of all the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth?
Is
it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it
fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be
beneficial to all concerned?
And of course, is it fun?
Is it fun?
Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you very much, PP Leroy.
Thank you and Happy New Year.
And finally, I'd like to invite Rotarian Keith to give us our final toast for this morning.
Morning, fellow Rotarians and guests.
Morning.
Please raise your cups or mugs or glasses to Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Keith. I'd like to say Happy New Year to all you guys, to all Rotarians, all the persons on this call this morning. Have a blessed day, and thank you all for coming out this morning in our meeting. Please have a blessed day. We will close out the new year in grand fashion, and thank you all for coming out this morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Be safe.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Stay away from Corona.
Happy New Year.
Everything.
And macaroni.
All right.